Welcome back to Fighters Drinking Coffee. We are your hosts,
Scott Dance
and Michael Sutherland, and with a combined 40 years of grappling experience, we are here to help you streamline your jiu-jitsu training. And on that note, we just finished up with the Virginia Open. I had 15 dudes competing throughout the weekend, including me. So I also competed. I had 14 guys that I was coaching back to back, like next match starts all day, like up until about like the no-gi time. And then I got a little bit of a break, like the last blue belt went, and then I got to go. I had plenty of time to get ready after that. But, that was an experience. I'm used to, I know we've talked about on the podcast before, like, having this, you kind of have like other people to distract you, and the difference between that and the solo mission, right? But this was vastly different. Normally it's like two or three dudes. Yeah.
Overwhelming perhaps.
And luckily we had a decent team of coaches there to kind of like spread the love, spread it out a little bit, and some other guys there to help like get guys warmed up, and so I wasn't having to worry too much about bouncing all around. But dude, it was quite crazy, but somehow I still found time to have the selfish moments to get ready and stuff like that, and it was a good weekend, good showing overall for the team. So, that was good. You had a few people competing too, right?
Not as many as you.
Yeah.
Not nearly as many as you.
Andrea got her first. Was that her first brown belt one too?
Yeah. Gold.
So we both got
out there and did it.
That's good.
First wins plural for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had at least on my wins, I had 100% sub rate, so I was happy with that. That's might be a first for me for a tournament, I think.
Good.
Yeah, that's a first for me for a tournament. So that was pretty cool. Figured some things out. Got some damage, but that's okay.
Well, figure things out, like you said. There's a lot of ways to figure things out.
We found I've discovered some answers to a hopefully continuous problem. So, hopefully soon to be
a solved problem.
Yeah. But I think I've got my new rival figured out.
Yep.
I've established a rivalry, and I like this.
I like
it.
that.
More on that in the future, I'm sure. Not on this episode. But yeah, so kind of back to my 14 whatever competitors.
Athletes.
Yeah, my athletes, not me. Moving on from me. Of them, how many of them were let's go with first time IBJJF competitors, because that's it's
a whole thing.
It's its own thing, right? So I had about half of them were first time IBJJF competitors, and of those, probably another most of that half was first time ever competing. 2 of them have trained for less than 6 months.
Wow.
So it was a broad spectrum. And then we had people up to John, who's competed his entire life. And I was joking with the Seam today that Seam posted up like the tally of everyone who won. I was like, oh, look, there's John on 4 of your slides.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, dude, quad gold is nuts. And I'm like, well, I've kind of expect this of him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really anything less would be disappointing. John. But
the quad god.
But we have from like that level of like competition experience down to like a guy who it's his first sport and first time competing in like he's competed in stuff before, but like his prior competition experience was in chess. Like that's the other, at least to my knowledge. From what he's told me
in sports.
So, broad spectrum.
That's a very broad spectrum
of like competitive experience and like different types of athletes. We had young kids. We had a kid who bumped up. So 15 years old, bumped up to blue belt, competed there.
Adult.
Yeah. So he competed, juvenile.
Excuse me.
But, like barely
teenage division
allowed to compete at blue belt.
Right.
Blue belt.
Right.
Yeah. Did you get to catch any of Rock's matches?
Dude, I didn't see this guy. He's the giant, right?
I
didn't see any of his.
He's the former football player.
Did you do gi and no gi?
No, he was the white belt. He only did gi.
Oh, well, that's why I didn't go Saturday.
No, he was there Sunday.
So he did get. but his division.
I think you just missed. Yeah,
I missed it.
So he won 3 matches, and this was actually, and I bring this one up because he's a maniac. He's only been training for 6 months. But it was a cool thing where you got to see like the progression from match to match to match. Like match 1, the immediate like stun effect of, oh my God, I'm fighting somebody, like the over gripping, the like, we're just gonna brawl and
yank a guy around for a while, fry your grips.
Both guys gripping each other's collars, trying to like toss each other around and, just like kind of falling into positions to the third match. Second match, he like pancakes the dude, gets on his back mount, chokes him.
Cool.
Pretty sick. Third match though, like super calm, collected, and like at one point, like he lets the dude back up and like he just has his grips and he just kind of like looks, sets up the throw and just like tosses the dude.
Yeah.
Like he'd been doing judo, never done judo. It was just like one of those things that like just the composure change from like match 1 to match 3. And
damn. It's an athlete.
So yeah. And so, like that was.
He's the guy who was he was a college football player, then he played
caliber football. Right. Like he's.
Right. He's a competitive. He's a seriously experienced.
He's a professional level athlete. Like world, like he's legit.
Yep. Picking up what you're putting down.
But, it was cool to see that like
the incremental
shift and, you do what when someone's only been competing for 6 months, there's only so much like instruction you can give them in a coaching set, right? Like you have to be very simple and, you kind of just have to sometimes like tell them, hey, just hold them there. Or, you kind of have to coach to a level of like, all right, I know you don't know like a bunch of moves. Yeah. So I'm just going to be like, hey, put your hand here, put your leg there, which I try to keep most of my coaching like that anyways. But, you have to kind of recognize
did you have to like shift the way you talk to him versus the other guys you cornered?
No. I mean, for me, no.
Okay.
I keep my, I keep my coaching very simplified, with the exception of like, for some things, knee cut. Like there's some stuff I will just do like a straight move call for. But for a lot of other things like progressing through position, all of that, it's a lot of, it's like calling out twister, right hand to right armpit, right elbow, right knee. Like, I try to just keep it to simple instruction for a lot of these guys, for a lot of people, just because for me, like that's easier to pick up in the moment. Like if you just say, put this thing here versus like, do this move. And if you're not someone who constantly does that move, it's hard to like, now you have to flip to the Rolodex and like,
you don't expect someone who doesn't understand that instruction to execute it. In like one loud yelled statement in the middle of like a tournament. I get it. I'm just curious.
So I try to, and I'll even simplify it even more for guys that are, if it's someone who's brand new, or I mean, like a lot of these guys are guys I train Monday through Friday, like every day, every week. So I know their level of comprehension of like jujitsu lexicon, right? Like someone who's been doing it for six months, 2 of those months have just been like intensive camp where we're just doing situational, not learning new moves, like not necessarily talking about moves in the sense of like this move has a name. I also don't know the names of a lot of different moves, at least like the shared naming schemes.
Yeah.
So there's stuff that's like, this is what I do from this position, right? Like whatever. So I know that some of these guys, like if I just call out a move, that isn't necessarily going to click, right? So it might just be, hey, let's get this hook, and then we're going to take them to the left. They know what that means, right? So, and different guys that I coach know those things in different ways. So I try to use it in terminology that I know that we have used to each other before.
Mm-hmm.
And also just knowing that like where people like to be when they're competing, like some guys are more comfortable in different positions, so I try to lead them to those positions as well. Like there's guys that like to, if a guy is more comfortable finishing from mount, I'm going to guide him to mount. If a guy's not really comfortable finishing there, hey, let's get there, hold it for a few seconds, and maybe we just hold it, or maybe we get our points and pop off, right? So like it was for me as like a coaching experience, having to like adjust each match was interesting, and like changing the tactics that I was trying to give them each match was different, and that was just a new experience for me.
Yeah, I mean that's a heavy dosage of coaching. 14 people is a lot, man, while you're also eventually thinking about when you're going to gear shift over to preparing yourself to compete.
Which the nice thing was I've competed against both of these guys before.
Right.
So there wasn't like, even prior to anyone else getting there, like the level of the fact that there wasn't an unknown factor in the bracket made it a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
A lot less. The nerves, like the nervousness is different, I guess. Like I'm not like, oh, I wonder what this guy's going to do. What am I going to do?
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty easy to like, I mean, heck, I texted you. I told you exactly how I was going to start a match, right? I was like, I'm just going to shoot low on this ankle. It was a lot easier to just make those decisions. That like first action decision, there's no unknown. I don't have to be like, well, I hope I can, maybe I'll go for this or that. And like, it's just knowing, like a lot of taking the unknown out of it made it easier for me to not have to be as like, I almost didn't feel distracted from what I needed to do because I already knew what I needed to do. There wasn't like
you
an
didn't
unknown
have to like
factor.
visualize the entire fight in your head. You were like, well, I'm going to do the following things. I know how certain situations are going to play out. So then you do that, then the remaining unknowns are kind of just presented later.
Yeah, I knew.
Does that make sense?
I knew the scenarios I would have to deal with.
Yep.
And so I was able to just kind of like check the boxes on my like checklist
mentally.
So I didn't have, like you said, I have to like think through entire matches and like like spider plots of, well, if they do this, then I'll do that. Like that didn't exist like it does when you haven't faced somebody.
Right.
So that was it. It made it easier for me to like clear my mind and like not have to worry as much about compartmentalizing, because it was very easy. It was already in like a clean cut box in my thought process.
Yep.
To where I was able to focus on everyone else, I guess, right? Like,
yeah.
I was able to focus on them without having to like take away from what I needed at the same time. So like I wasn't taking away from my own focus on my match because it was already...
You had already done a lot of homework.
Yeah, and it was framed off. It was much cleaner cut scenario than others, right? Yep. Other situations.
Yep.
It's also kind of cool, like when you have those guys that because I've invested a lot. I'm there training with them every day. That a lot of these guys, their success feels like I feel connected to it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they did it, and I'm not like I'm not taking credit, right? I'm just saying, like, I feel like personally invested in how they do, and like how to help them if they don't win, like, oh, I can give you real feedback and like on what happened without having it feel, try to like keep you up.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
But also like I want them to succeed. I train with these guys every day. I kind of know where that success would come from. And like, man, I tell a lot of guys, like, just turn your brain off. Let me be your brain for a little bit. I know what you need to do. You know what you can trust me to just, and that connection was easy. That like, hey, I'll just tell you what to do. You turn your brain off, just let it happen. Right. I mean, probably I'd one guy that I think the best listener for the day in the moment was probably my Masters 5 competitor. And this is the guy the first time competing. He was going against a guy who's competed
a lot
before, right? He's competed a few times. I mean, it's white belts, so like how many times did they compete? I don't know, but I saw him at this same tournament last year.
Okay.
And another one of my white belts, like he competed in the division of another guy that I was coaching. And it was actually, so the 2 days before, I think it was, he hits me up and he goes, hey, my guy has a video of him competing. He was actually asking about BJJ metrics. He's like, is this like BJJ metrics site like okay to sign up? I'm like, yeah, it's safe. You can sign up there. But then I was like, I have an account. Give me a second. I like went and checked and I was like, well, it's like, don't sign up for it. I'm just going to go find, I recognized the name. I found out like he competed against the other competitor. I was like, I'm going to go find the YouTube and I'll just screen capture and send it to him. He like legit went and did homework on this guy. It was pretty cool. He was like, yeah, I found out he was gonna he told me afterwards, like, yeah, like I watched the video and I found out he was just gonna like bum rush me at the beginning and figured he would just get tired eventually.
Is that what happened?
Kind of.
Okay.
The dude like came at him. The guy took him down, and actually this is the part I was the most proud of. Dude takes him down, and my guy stays composed in half guard. So guy gets on top of him, kind of breaks it into half guard. Dude stays composed, weathers the storm in half guard, rolls him over, gets his 2. And then, I'm calling out to him, and then he listens. He hears what I say. He does the knee cut. He does a knee through pass on another time, and he gets him out just like, given these are featherweights, it was a very skinny mother's milk, but was just like holding this dude in with like mother's milk position for the rest of the round. But I don't know, it's just cool. Like you don't see a lot of guys that are, you could see like the training kind of like clicking in his head, right? That like, you could see, he's like, oh, I've been here before in training. And that was kind of cool to see too. We're like, you don't always see that with guys, like where they might be on bottom and they kind of like, oh shit, I'm stuck on bottom. But we've done a lot of those. You're on bottom, you're down, you need to get up and score drills, and seeing that like pay off for in his match was good, right? Like, it's good because now we have like, it gives feedback to the training program and too, so that helps. But yeah, I mean, it was just cool. We had some young guys that competed that needed different type of feedback though, right? Like they're going to do what they're going to do. And afterwards, like they tend to take losses a little harder than the older guys.
A little less life perspective. It's a much bigger deal to them.
Well, especially like, college age kids, right? Like they don't take losing very as well. And being like, hey, dude, like you faced like this guy's like top 10 in the world. I think it's pretty good that he only scored 2 points on you. Like, it's like, dude, you did good. Like
it's not a bad loss.
You're like a single exchange away from flipping that. Like it's not that big of a deal. And you'll see him again in a few months. So, like that, those kind of things. And obviously there's always like sweeping takeaways for the entire team where it's like, all right, well, we need to work on, there's some stuff that we all need to work on. Right. But I mean, just overall, it was beneficial. It was good.
Did you, how are your like tenured or experienced athletes? How did they like fare comparatively to like the brand new guys?
My guys that have, I mean, they did really well. So the guys who compete a lot, so that would be like John. I mean, Luke competes frequently. This is his first IBJJF, so he kind of like fell into that category.
Sure.
One guy, I think you've met him. One guy, Adam, got injured the first day. So, but he got bronze. He was probably, he injured himself, by the way. If he didn't do that, he probably would have gone a lot further.
Okay.
But he got bronze, injured himself in the semifinals. I think for the most part, like at least IBJJF, like guys, a lot of them, I mean, they did well. They competed well. They had good composure. The guys who were a little less, actually, my newer guys probably had a better medaling
results, really.
Yeah, like their results actually, my brand new white belts, I had a silver. One guy got silver. And two guys who had never competed before got silver. Two guys got gold. Running through the rest of them. One guy lost in quarters. So, I mean, but overall, good showing. I mean, almost everyone won a match, which was nice. One dude, Tiny, who you've met.
Yep.
Less than a minute for his first match.
Okay.
Like,
all right.
Big Nick did the exact same thing to both of his guys.
Big Nick.
He took them both down, progressed to mount, and then Americana'd them both. In both matches, which was kind of cool to see him do the same thing twice.
Do you find that when you're out there when you have this many guys as you have or had, do you end up spending a little more time with the brand new guys and then kind of assume that some of the more experienced guys like, hey, like I'm obviously going to be there to help you, as are the other coaches, but you know the program a little bit more. So like run this, run that, be ready, we'll be on the mat.
Yeah, there were I tried to spend more of like the pre and in between time with the newer guys. So like guys who've competed before, I tried to let them have, I'm like, hey, you know what your warm up is, you know what you like to do. You have your rituals already. So I'm going to try to get these newer guys, remind them of things. Hey, only thing you need to worry about right now is that first thing you're going to do, first action. That's all you need to think about. Like those little things, right? Like tried to take them through the entire, like spend time with them while they're waiting in the bullpen. And, the guys who are more experienced,
a little less hand holding.
Yeah. It's like, hey, like, do you want me here or no? If you don't want me here, like if someone, or be like, hey, like, I'm going to go grab this other guy and he needs to get in here too. I'm going to go hang out with him while he's in here. Are you good? Do you need anything? Do you need someone else to come hang out with you? Because it's like, I'm going to go grab this. I'm going to go hang out with the first timer because he's probably going to need that more than you do. And, or hey, like, I'm going to send a different guy to coach you. It might be a guy who's already finished competing. It might be like, or for Nick can't hear you anyways. So maybe I just have I'll send someone to come videotape your batch for you. Things like that where it's just like, all right, I know that you know what you want to do and you know how you're going to do it. So you don't need as much, like you said,
direct involvement,
the hand holding or the direct involvement that someone else might, or, I
get it.
Yeah.
I was just curious. It makes sense.
I tried to be there for like the newer guys or the guys who hadn't competed in IBJJF, like to make those to help guide them at least through like give them like little rule tips and or talk to them in between matches to help give them the instant
set them up for
feedback.
success when they're new and they don't know all the details as much as some of these other guys who know the details. They just got to worry about the match a little bit more.
Yeah. Like I'll use Rock as an example. Like in between he finishes his first match, he comes over and I'm just like, all right, hey, real quick, let's settle it down on the feet. Pick what you want and do that thing. Cause he was, a little like a lot of white belts and first time competitors, like
maybe thinking
coming out a little hard and just like looking for whatever. And I was just like, just pick one thing and
do it.
That's like, pick a grip. Just pick a grip that you want. And like, let's look for that grip. Yep. Just try to like hone them in a little bit, get them a little focus. Did that with a few guys where it's just like, hey dude, like, all right, you won. Good. Now we need to do let's tighten it up for the next one. Like one guy pulled out an armbar in his first match and I was like, all right, you got the armbar, you won. However, it was a little messy. Like let's tighten up.
Tighten it up.
Let's clean up our approach here, right? Like I'm glad you won. That's good. Where we just moved a little further into the bracket, we don't get the luxury of like mistaking into a victory this time around, right? So, tried to like tighten those things up in between matches, especially with the newer guys. And I had to yell at one dude because he was coaching from Matt's side, and the ref kept telling him to stop. So I had to yell at him mid-match and be like, stop talking. So one
of your guys, from Matt's side. Oh, I got it.
From the competitor's side, and they're not allowed to do that. He was like talking to the other Matt, and the ref kept telling, like, he was like warning, and I was like, hey, shut your mouth. Real quick, guys, if you're enjoying the show, pop over to our website, www.fdcpodcast.com. We've got weekly blog posts that expand on all the show topics. There's a newsletter as well. You can sign up for all of that for free. And if you're really enjoying the show, show us some support. Click that coffee button or the donate tab. Like, subscribe, review. Now back to the show.
Don't cost us this match.
I was like, don't you get both of you DQ'd. Like whatever, it's first timer stuff. But like you said, I tried to be a little more attentive with the newer guys. The more seasoned competitors, I tried to give them like, a little bit of leeway. It's like we talked about with the, first time competitor, you don't have the right to, you haven't earned the right to like have an expectation, right? Similarly, like on kind of like the flip side, like those seasoned guys have the right to experience, to like have the version of experience that they are used to, right? Like they know what they want, how they compete the best, like this setup that they need. They just have a general idea of how things go. Like I don't know, I can be left alone in a bullpen. I kind of assume that a lot of the other seasoned guys can be left alone in the bullpen, right? Like check in with them every once in a while, make sure they don't need something from the outside world. But yeah, that's kind of how I tried to manage it, because I did try to make sure everyone had someone nearby just in case like someone got pulled out early, and so you could see you had people to look for in between matches if you need to run over to a different side or whatever. So, yeah.
Okay. And it makes sense. Yeah. All right. What were the takeaways for the whole team? For the community, the flock.
Takedowns was a big one.
Okay.
Not necessarily like the technique itself. Like, I think guys weren't exactly sure how they wanted to set up their takedown game.
Okay.
I talked with Jason. Jason and I talked yesterday about this, but I was like, we need to work on our feet a little more. Guys kind of know what they're going to do, but they didn't really know how to, like, they didn't know what their first action should be. They didn't really like know like what grip they wanted. To where, you know, it's just like, oh, I'm on my feet, and if something ends up in my arms, I'll grab it.
All the better.
Type, you know, like, some guys, that wasn't the case. Like, there's guys who are seasoned
John
wrestlers, John, Nick, like guys who,
of course, they knew what they were going to do. Yeah.
But there were guys that didn't necessarily know what takedowns, you know, how they wanted to put it on the ground. And it was pretty, you know, it was obvious. There's guys who I know have good takedowns, but again, didn't know how they wanted to get there. So they end up either pulling guard, or they just kind of end up in a weird, you know, feet exchange on their feet where like they're just trying to kind of outpower the other guy to end up on the ground. So for me, that was a big one that I noticed. For some guys, I mean, actually, then another one was just passing from standing.
Okay.
I saw a lot of opportunities there. I mean, it wasn't like guys were doing a bad job there, but it was just there were a lot of missed opportunities there. And luckily, I mean, I had success passing from standing. And so I was like, hey, like,
here's how we'll do it.
Let's just do what was working for me, and that's how we're going to start. And maybe we'll all get good at that. I don't know. Like, we're just going to blast knee cuts and high step passing, and I don't know, you know, something like that. And just like, let's just pick a system that we want to use from the feet, or that ties into our other passing systems that guys use, like the other stuff I've been teaching. Cause like I've been showing a couple months ago, like the block we did for passing was combat base and headquarters. All right, well, now we're still on our feet. We need something else that either directs us into that, or we don't need to go, or we just stay on our feet and pass from there. So that's kind of where also it's given the state of things. That's kind of what I can show at the moment anyways. So, I can standing pass without having to use my arm from an instructor standpoint. So, so yeah, like those are two. And then some stuff with like just pressure, you know, just body positioning, just kind of correcting some mistakes there.
Yeah. It's that's always one of the enlightening things of going to a tournament. And when you have as many guys as you have, you'll notice patterns of from the matches and how they play out that tell you a story. And in my experience, usually like there's you don't always know it until you see it, but when you see it, you're kind of like, oh yeah, duh. It's like a duh moment, which is that you might see some sort of you'll see the things that go really well, that everyone does well consistently, and you'll see the things that aren't going well, that people aren't executing. And at least in my experience, a lot of times there's almost always a big duh moment where I say, well, yeah, I mean, okay, no wonder people are having a hard time. We haven't actually practiced this in a minute. And so it's generally like there's a simplicity to it, right? That's the blessing and curse of jiu-jitsu. It's like you focus on X, Y, and Z for 6 months and you'll get good at it. But the ABC that you left out because you can't focus on everything at the exact same time gets a little dull. So you're always sort of chasing, you're not always chasing it, but you know what I'm saying? Like there's always that like feedback loop of like, crap. Okay. The thing that we have not been practicing, surprisingly unsurprising, didn't get executed this well. And so you can remedy that by saying, all right, well, we'll just go at whether like, it's like what you just said with like high step passing from standing, whatever it is. But there's the takeaway of like, well, you know, crap, well, we haven't done close guard in a long time. So no wonder people weren't handling the situation that well. It's not very crisp. We're just kind of hoping that people's general awareness and skill sets in those circumstances shines, even though we haven't made a purposeful effort to prepare for it. So there's like something to that, just sometimes taking a step back and saying, oh, okay, well, you know what? Like, yeah, haven't done it. All right, we didn't do that great at it, but we can work on it.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely like, I'm sure if I pulled my like sheet out, like my
your notes,
8-week program out and kind of held it up against like what do we need to, what are our broad takeaways? I'm sure if I pulled that up, I could look at it and be like, all right, well, 8-week program, broad takeaways. Yeah, maybe we should have increased the frequency of hand fight takedowns. I think I had like 1 or 2 days a week. Thought maybe that'd be enough. Maybe we needed more days, maybe we needed more higher frequency. I would probably find that I didn't have a lot of standing passing stuff. I think I had a lot of like guard break and tight passing, not a lot of passing from standing. Actually, I definitely know that was the case. And then this one's probably less about but like, little things where, all right, let's tweak the programming around that. Maybe we need to increase frequency of certain things, maybe there's other stuff that just was less important.
Okay.
Yeah,
we did too much of one thing that didn't even come up. Yeah.
So like, scenarios like, all right, well, these scenarios weren't really that big of a deal. There's one thing that I think would be that you could tell who made it to more practices based on the readiness for bad situations.
Okay, that's an interesting call out.
So we did a lot of scenario training where it would be you're winning or you're losing. And no matter what, someone is winning and losing in the scenario, right? But it'd be you're on bottom or you're on top and you're losing. To where, hey, you need to know that you have this much time, you need to score this many points. Sometimes it was you're losing by an advantage. You just have to score once. Just giving them a scenario to kind of...
It's like gamifying these scenarios.
Yeah, giving them the game of like forcing them in a specific time frame to complete the goal and that wins them a match. Whether that's you're on bottom, you're losing, or you're on top, you're losing, you're on top, you're winning. Don't do dumb shit because you're winning right now. You have 2 minutes to continue to win. Or know that you can cede you're up by 8 points and you're on top. You can give up 2 points if you can then also hold those other 6. You could tell who had been to more practices because the guys that came 5 days a week were ready for those scenarios, and the guys who maybe showed up like here and there, while they still had successful weekends, weren't as ready for those scenarios. Like you had guys that maybe didn't do, or guys that weren't in like they might have been jumping between mornings and evenings or just doing a different training schedule, right? And so they were doing different training. Not that they weren't like training hard, they just were doing a different program.
Right.
And so they maybe weren't seeing these scenarios, so like they were a little less prepared for them. Or they just weren't doing them frequently enough, or that was just ingrained in their brain that like, hey, maybe I shouldn't give up a sweep. Like I should fight to stay on my feet, or I need to like fight harder to not go to my back. Don't cede this sweep, or don't just be willing to go to your back, or because of what situation we're in right now in the match. I'll use my Masters 5 competitor again, just because he comes 5 days a week. He comes every day. So I could also use Rock as an example here, where like he fell into a takedown, but then just like instead of trying to play from his guard, was constantly trying to push the guy off to get back to his feet to then, I think he got swept. But so he gets swept, guy is 2-2, and then he's just constantly fighting to get back to his feet because he knows he wants to be on top. Okay. And that's where he's more likely to win. So, it's just like, and then Masters 5 competitor knew, hey, I just need to keep trying to sweep this guy.
Yep.
I can't just sit here and play prevent. I need to get on top. And so, you could see in these two guys that had come 5 days a week for almost the entire 8 weeks, minus like a few days here and there, that they were prepared to be in those scenarios, receive the coaching advice in the moment, and
execute,
right? Yep. Like not crumble under the situation.
Yep.
Or get like bogged down by, oh no, I'm losing. Like they just knew like, no, I know I can do this. I've scored 9 points in a minute before. I can do this. So like I think that like creating that mindset through the training helped a lot of these guys.
Mm-hmm.
And you could see who had been practicing those things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, basically what I'm hearing, and this is kind of a cool little thread on like programming and getting guys set up mentally, physically as well, but mostly mentally, in that like game mindset of those scenarios you talked about where you said for the two-month camp program you'd run, you'd had these guys going through lots of different scenarios, scoreboard on your side versus scoreboard not on your side, and then how to handle that circumstance in the moment during the purpose of the drill. But you do that enough times, it gets guys understanding like how the game is played. And simply put, it sounds like the dudes who did the bulk of the work that you had prescribed ended up handling those situations better. Which, by the way, when you say it out loud, it's sort of like a duh. You're kind of like, oh yeah, okay. They did more of that. They understood that the job and under certain circumstances is X. You're up, whatever the amount of points are. All right, doesn't mean you stop scoring, but it's like you can behave differently than the other dude who's behind 6 points or whatever. And like you said, it's like understanding that full game perspective of if you're, let's just circumstances wise, let's say, or situations wise in a match, like if the dude who's done your training regimen for the last couple months, he fully gets that if, he's up 6 points, if the other guy sweeps him, like, how about this? Like, there's like a scenario where like guy's on top, he's up 6 points, he's one of your guys, and he's in a scenario against someone else's guard, and say the other guy's guard, like he's desperate, he's starting to throw stuff at you, and like he's throwing legit weapons at you, and maybe it's a sweep or it's a submission. Well, let's get swept. Like, cause I've with Mike, I've been preparing for situations where it's like, all right, well, big fucking deal. He scored 2 points. I'm up 6. I can still win this. I'm aware. I know how to play this, rather than like, panic. Like, what do I do? Like, I don't want to get swept because getting swept is bad, but like it's that, or I get triangled, but you freeze and then you get triangled and you tap and you lose.
Yeah. It's like, all right, well,
you're programming these guys to
damage
understand,
control.
like, right. Well, no, it's just, there's just an awareness that you're like getting these guys dialed into like the sport, the game of it, via the right formatted programming to prepare them to understand and win the game in the game. Because they've done quite a bit of game style training.
Yeah. I mean, I would say in, I guess kind of reviewing my own program, like that was probably the strongest portion, just from the results. That was probably the strongest portion of like the most result driving part of it, outside of just, we would spend roughly 30 minutes playing that, like each practice. So half the practice is playing games like this, where it's scenario based games, where we're trying to win.
Especially with new guys, it's important to teach them that stuff, because you can be really good at all types of different little moves in an informal training scenario, but like if those guys don't know how to translate that to, hey, guess what? Game's on. You're down 6. You're up 6. Whatever it may be, and you got a minute and a half. And now in either scenario, there's teaching them how like a game, because it's a game now. Mm-hmm. When you go to the IBJJF, it's a game.
You're playing a game.
You want to playing a game. You're an athlete in a game, and you want to win the game. So, because like big deal, like like we'll fuck around in training all the time, where like in like a training environment that's not gamified, to use I guess that phrase. Like maybe I'll let a purple belt ragdoll me around because I know in the last 45 seconds I'll sweep him and submit him, which is not a good way to train, even if I know I can do that. If I want to be preparing myself, now maybe I'm not the best example of this because I can differentiate, but you get what I'm saying, where it's like the habits of like allowing someone to rack up the score, but that can be a problem.
Yeah, you don't want that to be like.
I don't want a brand new person to have that habit. I mean, eventually they'll get to where they're doing that type of stuff too, and they're able to train in both threads well, but. I was just using an example of like the informality of training, where we're like, no big deal, he passed my guard. No big deal, he's a mount. I'll just get out. You don't get points for getting out. Like, it might be helpful for me to do it with one of my students to have them gain those skills, but like that doesn't make me more prepared for winning a match. Like, there's probably merit to me getting swept around and escaping. There's definitely is defensively, but the point I don't want to digress on that too much. For a new guy, that is a different way to prepare him than, well, what you're describing is a more intentional way to prepare him for the game versus like we're just kind of sparring around in jiu-jitsu class.
Yeah, you have to strip down like the generally like jiu-jitsu gentlemen's agreements, right? Like we have like these gentlemen's agreements that like someone's going to play guard, someone's going to be on top, someone's going to, like, oh, well, if you pass and if you're going to pass, I'll just kind of let you pass. And then
it becomes a little like loose.
I'll just try to get back to my guard from there. Like these like weird little like,
we play
rules,
loose. We play
right?
loose.
Like,
You get into habits and like little patterns of, like you said, and that's just like that. Playing loose is great for regular training activity, but if you're going to go compete, you really can't. You can't be loose.
Yeah, you have to create
not for new guys. You got to like give them the win-loss conditions and then teach them to like attack the win.
Yeah, you have to teach them how to do the competition side of things so that they can eventually be able to loose. Differentiate, right? Eventually they will learn to differentiate between those two sides of themselves and
yes, that's well said, like actually. That. It's very well said.
And another thing that we did, I think, was a good preparatory for some of these guys was I would do performance days.
Ooh, what's that?
So we would basically do a simulated tournament within the time frame of the class, but it would be, it's not like it was open mat where you're going like back to back rounds. You would do a round and then maybe you'd sit out one or sit out two and like kind of filtering in guys, and you would get a different guy each time. Well, obviously as different as you could get, within just the makeup of who was there that day, but you would compete and then you would sit on the sideline and watch someone else compete. Maybe 2 rounds, you'd compete again. Maybe 3 rounds, compete again. So kind of like simulating that, like, all right, you're going to have a 5-minute match. Then you're going to take a break. Then you're going to have a 5-minute match. Then you're going to take a break. Then you're going to have a 5-minute match. And like, you still get decent number of rounds in. Maybe you get 5 or 6 matches in that time frame, but like you also kind of get that experience of like being somewhat fresh each time, like having the ability to recover, be fresh, or like figure out, oh no, like I kind of over recovered, or I didn't quite like let myself get to that point where I, like kind of getting the brain right.
You're giving them the internal clock training of like in between tournament rounds or in between matches and tournament, you're going to have time off.
Yeah.
How you handle it, that's what we're going to practice, right? Like it's sometimes it's 5 minutes, sometimes it's 10 minutes, sometimes it's 20 minutes. You're probably not going to make you guys sit around for 20 minutes, but I get what you're saying. And you're kind of like, you're like giving them these like physical cues of like what to expect.
Hey, you can go all out in this match.
You'll get 5 minutes
because you're going to have time off.
Yeah, you'll have time to recover. Yeah.
So like the idea is, you go hard. I want you to go competition pace for your round. You're going to have a break. You don't have to hold back for the next one, or find out what pace you can maintain for all of these matches. Or, hey, maybe you might not have another match if you lose. Let's win. Like those kind of things. Like you're trying to win.
That's an interesting, yeah, I like that. I'd be curious to know like what dudes like Cale Sanderson do. Like how do these like wrestling camps and like a very like wrestling being like the most established and like long running sport that's virtually the exact same insofar as like how we format like this, the nature of the sport and the art. And then how these guys train and prepare athletes for things like that. Now, by the time Cale Sanderson gets his hands on a guy, I don't know if Cale does like anyone below like college age, but I'm assuming by the time Cale,
they have guys, they have like high school age kids.
Yeah, but do there. Yeah, true. So the program has something for that, right? But yeah, fair enough. Well, so I say all that to say, like by the time these guys get to like these elite training environments like a Penn State or his Nittany Lion Wrestling Club for like Olympians and shit, like these guys also probably have learned a fair amount about like the competition, like the rhythms of competition. They've been
competing.
You don't walk on to Kale's camp like right with no background. Exactly. So
yeah,
I'm just curious like how they would like keep athletes or develop athletes. So maybe it's not a Kale thing. Maybe it's sort of like what's like a youth to like high school, middle school ish age range where like they're probably still developing that skill set too. I'm curious what those guys do to teach these guys to be good competitors, not just good practitioners. It's just
lots of live,
of course, lots of live.
I mean,
but,
lots of live is a big thing.
Well, one of my questions is because I was like, who was it the other day? I was watching like another coach. And I've heard Eddie Bravo talk about this. It was Wagner Hutra. I saw Wagner made a post a couple weeks ago on a recommendation for his competitors, like higher level guys, for how they get into a practice and how they train day in, day out, week in, week out with teammates to put themselves in position to be like successful in competition. And basically the call to action, as I understood it, was that like, if you're a black belt, if you're a brown belt or whatever, let's just say black and brown belts, the more advanced guys, for staying like sharp, for competitive abilities, like the ability to execute in a competitive environment, would be to not just constantly go with all the black belts in the room, because like some of those rounds, like you'll battle out with these dudes and you might not score at all. Like it gets you out of the habit of like winning and executing because people are kind of just too good. Not that he's obviously his call to action wasn't like ignore the black and brown belts. It was like you don't need to make an entire practice out of just going with like the 6 or 7 dudes who are like as good as you, better than you, and you just kind of like.
Sometimes you have to practice winning, right?
He was saying like go with the blue belts, go with the good blue belts, go with the good purple belts. Like mix these guys in there. Yeah, you got to practice winning. You got to be able to go through the motions and like you can do things differently. These guys, you can play it differently with them, but it's important to do that. They benefit from it too. But anyways, like I'm trying to connect that to like. How we format some of these practices where if we're in a room together and we're running comp practices and treating a blue belt who's a newer but not a brand new athlete in general in jiu-jitsu, if they're in a good comp practice with like 10 black belts or what, just use an extreme example, man, like, and those 10 black belts are also trying to train for competition. So that blue belt is going to get fucking hammered constantly.
I mean, that or you need to build drills that allow. You build drills and games that give
that person a fighting chance.
Only like that's where you have those like games where the one side it can never win.
I get what you're saying.
Does it? You know what I mean?
I do know what you're saying.
Like I started playing with that this week where. The first half of our like gamified drills, only the top player can win. Bottom player has no ability to win. There's no win condition for the bottom player. So the bottom player is still giving them a hard time, but no matter what, the top player will win. They still have to do it right.
Yeah.
But you have somebody who's not trying to sweep you on the bottom, and so you have to pass, right? Like, or something, like
I get what you're saying. Like the
that.
skill for that person could very much be just like be a nuisance, but the top person's eventually going to win.
Yeah.
And like you're still developing skills there. So that's one way to do it. I like what I'm hearing there, bro, is that it's like we modify like in an environment where like the bodies in the room are skewed in one direction versus the other. You can tweak the objectives of drilling so the two parties involved, even if there is a skill disparity, can benefit from it.
I think it also takes for like those people who are the one who's the lower rank or the lower skill level, it takes the sting of the loss off.
It does.
Because they know they're supposed to lose eventually.
I see. Yeah, I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Some psychological shit.
No, but it's also like, I mean, it's kind of just making good use of the time with the right bodies in the room and finding a way for everyone to gain something, which I think is the attitude we should always have when we're like engineering a practice. Anyways, it's not so easy to do, is it? It requires some thought, but it's a good exercise to try to get better at. Like, I like that you said that. I'd say that plus it's like an and or perfect world scenario would be like, can we get enough bodies of like solid blue belts ish, and give these guys enough bodies to kind of have maybe the same. You can even do the same thing, but put the blue belts with the blue belts, put the black belts with the black belts, and then do some like mix and match in between or whatever. But like give folks kind of yeah. I mean, it's it's interesting. I don't have the answer perfectly off the top of my head. I think it's just you got to constantly experiment with like what provides the best. I guess the job is to figure out like what's your objective of this practice. Is it to make like the 5 black belts just even better at the cost of everyone else, and everyone else still gains from it, but are we skewing more towards those dudes, or do we find a way to serve everybody? I think finding a way to serve everybody is, in my opinion, the job. And I would argue it's probably a more complicated nut to crack, but it's a worthwhile.
I think you're right. I think that's like the ideal scenario, right? Like we would like to make the
practice about everybody.
We would like
the
to
4 black
raise,
belts to kill everyone.
Yeah, we want to raise the average,
the caliber.
Right?
Yeah.
We don't want to just broaden the gap.
That's right.
We want to like bring the bottom up.
Yep.
Like, and heck, if that means that like your black belts have to progress slower, but you can all of a sudden create this like massive slingshot for your blue belts, that might be the ideal scenario, right? Like as far as elevating the team. Your black belts might be a little less enthused about it, but whatever, right?
Well,
they probably won't be. I mean, they shouldn't be, but like,
I think no matter, we're probably having a semantic conversation a little bit here, but it's kind of a fun challenge to think through, right? It's like a worthwhile challenge to try to a problem to solve, which is like, how can you make everyone better in some capacity rather than just favoring one segment versus the other. But to what I was going to say was like, no matter what we do, we're still training. So like everyone is going to get better, to your point. It's just all a matter of, and it's a very jiu-jitsu thing these days. It's any competition team these days. I'm sure Kale and his coaching staff are constantly having conversations about how do we make this team even better?
Yeah. How do we
basically that's the job.
Better?
How do we make the whole team do better?
I mean, I know one thing that's slightly different, and I think it's just because of the format of jiu-jitsu, where it's a pay-to-play sport, right? Like, people are paying for a service to learn jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, that's right.
But as far as, like, something that I know we did when I wrestled was you aren't like learning moves, which obviously you can't not just teach people stuff, but like you weren't learning moves, you were practicing your game.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, I mean, this is very competition based, like in this thought, but something that, we have to create scenarios for the competitor in competition practices, right? This isn't necessarily for like class, like a jiu-jitsu class. This is for like a training session, a practice. Create scenarios for people to work their game into the situations,
mm-hmm.
rather than forcing them to do things that they don't do.
Mm-hmm.
Like because there's time and place to teach them new things, but sometimes you have to let them like figure out how to put their game into the
mm-hmm.
broad game, like their moves, their whatever the things they like to do, give them the ability to figure out how to execute those
mm-hmm.
things and find like it's kind of like the CLA stuff. But,
yeah.
Same concept, but like put them in scenarios where the answer isn't obvious. Yeah, I'm just describing CLA, but like give them the opportunity to create those funnel systems
mm-hmm.
for, hey, you're in this scenario, get to where you want to be,
mm-hmm.
get to where you need to be to win, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that's the game. They don't need a bunch of moves to win a match.
Yeah, it's true.
They need to figure out how to get to their moves.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. And what you said earlier still stands too, where it's like you have to kind of look at the broader picture too of because like any martial art, any jiu-jitsu gym scenario, for the most part, with perhaps there being some exceptions, it's going to be different than someone showing up to like the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club.
Yeah.
Where those guys are there, like they don't, to my knowledge, I don't think they work with people who aren't serious competitors. I mean, maybe they do. Maybe there are people in the room who are supporting serious competitors, but the culture of that training environment is like, no, we're getting guys ready for like NCAA championships.
Well, and a lot of those guys
and international wrestling. Some of them are like, they have professional competitive careers. And so to your point, they have games. Now I'm certain in that environment, there's still a great amount of learning going on too, because these guys have to continue to evolve. But to your point, they are imposing their game on one another, because that's the nature of the sport, as it is in ours as well. But to differentiate that from jiu-jitsu, where it's like, yeah, I mean, some people will want to do that, and they may entirely just want to focus the way they train their jiu-jitsu on that. But the bulk of the student population, and I say that intentionally, student population, they're going to want to come in, and some of them they may want to do a little bit of that, but they still want to learn. They still want to do other stuff, because like the learning aspect, the being a student aspect is still like, it's cool. Like, I mean, I still enjoy it myself. Like, there's still that element that I don't think should be completely ignored. Also, in our environments, like taking a step back, like, we're still talking like, you're talking about like your master's fight commander. We're still a white belt. Like, we still have white belts. Like, these guys must continue to learn.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily like the time to just say, what's your game? That's what we're going to do from here on out. So we have to have a little bit more of a nuanced approach, but at the same time, I'm just curious about like some of the, and again, these are like extreme ends of the spectrum. Like I picked Cale Sanderson because it's like, he's the guy that I know.
That is a good call out though, that like we are dealing with a spectrum of different levels of competition, whereas like, yeah, Penn State's one level of competition,
Sparta.
Yeah, like you're dealing with
guys who want to win world
Only.
championships.
Yeah, like you're not,
pretty much.
You don't have to. Well, obviously, I'm sure there's
maybe I don't know how the business is set up, but I'm with you. It's like what we see.
At least the college room, the D1 Penn State D1 college wrestling team.
It's war. Like
just
they're
the D1 wrestling team.
They're there to win.
They don't have intro white
classes.
belts.
I don't think they have intro classes.
Yeah, like,
I don't know, but I don't think they have intro
the kids
classes.
program. Like,
maybe they do have a kids program. Maybe or at least an affiliation so they can like legitimately Sparta-size.
I'm sure there's some sort of affiliated like
probably.
Kids program in.
But that's not what Cale's working on with his guys, right? Like Cale's not there saying like I don't think he is. You're right.
They're not training alongside the kids program's not training during college, like the university practice, right?
Yeah,
like,
1,000%. It's different. Yeah, you're right. It's a different constituency.
Whereas you have a little bit, you actually do have some of that in jiu-jitsu, where like, especially like at, maybe there's some gyms that do have pro practices that are just the pro guys, but like during the
all levels
7
class.
p.m. all levels class, you might still have your competitors training alongside the other guys, and you have to provide value to both sides.
That's
of that,
right.
So
that's right.
Yeah.
It's just a fun little exercise to think about, like the theme of the practice, the theme of the group, like the objective, what the broader goal is. How do we cultivate the best use of everyone's time to get them ready for the objective on whatever date, whatever time, and whatever city for the tournament that we're talking about. Yeah, it's cool. Like, it's hard. It's not easy, but it's kind of a fun. I like it. Like, it's fun to think about all these different things.
There's definitely something where like you could get into like the systems building.
This is what we're talking about, a systems building.
Because there's
the system that applies to the right group of people versus, and then like to your point earlier, it's like, well, for that demo of guys who train with you at 5:30 or whatever time, but like the guys who are like, yo, we alongside Mike want to get ready for the Virginia Open and really be ready for it, versus someone who's like, that's great. I go to 5:30 class because that's when I'm available to go, and I'm going to help you guys, but it's not really my objective necessarily. Yeah. And that person could do just as well in the 5:30 class running that program, or if they're busy that morning or whatever, they're like, I'm going to have to train at 6 p.m. tonight. And they'll still benefit because the 6 p.m. class, even if it's structured differently for that guy, makes sense. But to flip that around to one of the other guys, like what you talked about earlier, where it's like those dudes who are very specifically focused on winning the Virginia Open, like it's in their best interest to want to really stick to your program until we've done it. And then they can take a breather for a minute and hit the 6 p.m. class with a different coach, say hi. But for that fixed period of time, and if they choose to do it, it's not that like, it's never a bad thing if like something happens, they text you and they're like, dude, can't make this morning, but I'm going to make up for it tonight at whatever class. I'm sure you're like, all right, hey.
Yeah. You're still going to get good training.
You're still going to train.
Yeah.
But the best thing for them is like, hey, I totally get it, but like, hey, let's try to get to as many of these morning.
Well, it's purely because in the morning class, we had over 50%
like
of the guys.
All of them wanted to do it.
50% of the guys competing. So like, hey, it just makes sense to
1,000%.
transition the training to that. Whereas in the evening class, I think they had like 3 of the guys were competing.
Yeah, so it's totally fine.
You're not going to restructure. It makes a lot less sense to restructure the entire class.
And maybe even tell some of those guys, hey, wake up bright and early. Mike's got you covered.
Some of them actually did.
I like that.
Yeah, some of them
that's
actually
cool.
were. 2 of them
but that's
were
a good.
coming,
That's
so.
that speaks to like what Jason's done with the programming too, and like the ability to like leverage you as the athlete who's competing, who's like in it nonstop. But Jason can tell his guys like, hey, that's great. Like you usually come to my class in the evening. Keep doing that, but dude, you really should go to Mike's too because he's providing the infrastructure to do this really well. I recommend that. So that's like good for like a good academy that has like a great kids program, bunch of like, I call them civilians, but like regular folks who want to train, and but still having the ability to say, yeah, we got all of this, plus we got some serious guys in the morning, like they're competing. That's a comp practice. Go to it. We offer that. We offer a good comp practice.
Yeah, exactly.
Most places don't do that. I'll tell you, I know of less than 5 gyms who really have comp practices in this area.
Yeah, and I mean, we don't do them year round.
They're hard to run year round.
It's really tough to have that year round.
It's hard to have a full-time one year round.
Yeah.
You can do them one off, or you can have like maybe 1 or 2 days a week or whatever. But like, yeah, I can tell you their names.
Yeah, it's
not, and I have to actually really think about it. I can think of like 2 off the top of my head that really do it. No, 2 to 4 that really consistently do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
it's fairly complicated.
Well, a lot of times too, you'll see.
It's not that complicated, I suppose.
Yeah, it's not that complicated. You just have to like keep doing it.
You just got to commit to doing it.
And then you have like the problem where like a guy gets hurt, and then like now your group's down to it shrinks because if you guys get injured or like it just depends on how many bodies you have in there to where you can maintain it even around like people's lives and injuries and stuff like that. If you don't have enough people, then it's hard to, if you only have like a smaller set of guys and you're trying to like line all these schedules up, it's kind of tough.
Yep.
But if you have, 30 guys,
it's not so bad.
You can almost always field a practice.
You can absorb 1 or 2 people. Yeah.
Where if half of them show up, you still have a good room.
Yeah.
But if you only have 10 guys and half of them show up, now like your room's
it's 10% less. Yeah, I see what you're saying for sure. Now my counter to that, for what it's worth, would be like the good coach can manage that. We'll still find a way, much like what we said earlier, to like bring the best out of the room for that unit of time. But what I would also say is like, I mean, this is like kind of shout out to our friend Tim of High Noon. Like he's been running a proper pro comp practice at High Noon for Sundays. I think he may have moved the timing around a little bit, but it still runs it every Sunday, man, unless he's out at a tournament for a couple of years. And it's well attended. Like people come from all over to go to it.
It being open, I think, helps a lot too.
Well, yeah. I mean, he invites competitors. He's like, hey, like it'll make my guys better, and it's good for him. It shows the quality of his program to the world, and certainly to our community when people want to go there from like other academies. Excuse me. So I think it's a credit to what they do, and it gives him a chance to kind of see other people, absorb some data, like think it puts him in the game to do this stuff, and no surprise, he and Maya and the rest of his squad they do very well when they compete.
Yeah.
So it's like you see the results, and you see the commitment, but yeah, like I think it does require it's extra work. For most academies aren't paying the bills on competitions usually.
Competitors don't usually pay the bills.
Yeah, they usually don't, but it's kind of like I look at it more as like a branding thing. It's like good for the brand. It's good it's like it puts your academy on the map. There's like a pin that like people are like, oh, cool, like I want to go check that out. It makes the entire environment better. So it still helps the business, but it's like a bit of extra like passion. It's like a passion play, which does benefit the people doing that. But it's more work, man.
You definitely have to enjoy.
I've talked to veteran, big name jiu-jitsu, like OG Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belts who I'll tell you, who've told me in confidence, like, man, I stopped doing competition practices. I stopped being a competition gym because it was the highs and lows, and like the competitors always blame you.
Yeah.
They never blame themselves. He's like, if something doesn't go with it, they'll do really well. They'll win a bunch of medals under me. And then like one thing goes wrong and they blame me for it and they run off. He just became too much of a pain in my ass. I've heard this story multiple times. I'm not going to name any names, but I've had people talk me out of it, try to talk me out of it. I'm sympathetic to it because I've had, I've like talked about this on the show. I wrote about it in my book that I am working on. Ooh, breaking news. One day there will be a book for you people to read. But I talk about this. I have a couple chapters on this, on like people coming and going. It's normal.
Yeah.
You get used to it. But yeah, so I'm sympathetic to what the dudes who have told me this put out there. But again, like you said, you have to like it. And I like it. Like I want to continue doing it. I can tell Tim likes it. He really likes it. He's a competitive guy, right? Like, so I think he loves the game. And the others in our community who do a good job at it, similar. But yeah, bro, it's like this, I mean, we spend hours talking about it on this podcast. We spent this entire podcast today talking about like just the subtleties of like all the thought and detail that we put into these things. So you gotta like it. You gotta like be a little crazy about it.
Yeah, I mean, we've just spent like an hour, right?
Yeah, well, and like, not to mention, this is basically it's not the entirety of the Fighter Drinking Coffee meta, but it's I bet 80% of what we talked about on the show is like little details of this variety. Right? I don't know anything.
Pretty much.
I mean, we didn't even have to if we put up the button for when we brought up competition, it would have been like right off the rip.
Well, I mean, it was
competition.
It was
theme episode.
The whole episode was based on,
but that's my point.
But
this is just all we talk about.
This is like definitely
almost all we talk about.
It's definitely a little bit deeper behind, like almost like a little more of like a behind the curtain type thing, right? Like we talk a lot about ourselves and competing, which is normal. Like it is a selfish endeavor to compete. We've talked about that before. We haven't talked as much about this, which is like the things that go into it for other, like
trying to coach
as a coach,
successfully,
kind of reviewing like, oh, well, like we did these things. These are the results we got. I mean, basically the people who trained the most were the most prepared. Spoiler, shocker.
I know, right? There's a bit of a duh to it, but
you very easily find like the chinks in your programming, your practices and stuff like that. Like when you have that many people training and competing from the same gym, doing the same programming, you can very almost pinpoint when you look back at what you guys did to prepare. You can pinpoint like what you did wrong, where the holes in the programs, like the things that, hey, we need to keep these, like we need to keep our scenario training. We need to like keep putting ourselves in those stressful positions. And then we need to reinforce these things that we didn't execute well.
Mm-hmm.
And you very quickly find out like, oh, like here's the things we did wrong. Here's the things we did right in a stress tested situation where there's nothing, you can't hide it.
That's right.
There's no hiding what you did wrong and right in these scenarios. So, I mean, it just keeps making you better. And it's the same thing that you would do that we do for ourselves. And we've talked about it on the podcast of like the review of your own successes and failures in competition and amplifies it to a point where it's like, oh no, like things that I thought would be good because it would have helped me don't help everyone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you almost like really see the big picture of your training regimen.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of cool.
It is cool. It's a fun job. But yeah, if people listening, like this is, I guess you're right, a little snapshot and like the coach analysis. all the different like little pieces on the map you're trying to like put together.
And then actually, like, what I'm actually going to do when we're done recording this is then you also look back at each individual and you do things like review their film, discuss with them like what you saw outside of like what you would tell them right there in the moment, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to give them you're not going to give everyone the full like download right after the match.
Right.
Sometimes you got to give them, you know, in this case, like 5 days. I actually just had a guy calling me. It's like, you know,
give him a little breather.
A couple days, you're just like, hey, like, all right, I'm going to review your film. Then we'll hop on the phone and we'll talk about it.
Yep.
So, you know, and so sometimes you also have that aspect of it from a coaching standpoint. But I think
we did it.
I think we did. I think I'm going to give, this will be a quick combat confession.
Oh, fuck yeah. I can't forget about that.
This one's not going to be as funny, but
we'll make it funny.
Oh, we can laugh about it. So
combat confessions.
This one was at a competition. Person's winning.
Okay.
They get their arm trapped. Go to escape. They do thousands of times, and then pop. Yeah, so I tore.
Is this a combat confession? It's your combat confession.
It is my combat confession. So
it's still very funny to me.
I think it's funny.
Screw you, Mike.
It's been long enough that I think it's funny.
Yeah,
a couple days is enough time.
About 48 hours.
Well, you know, it's feeling better. I look like I look Popeye right now.
It's not that inflamed.
My hand looks
it's inflamed.
Insane,
no, it's definitely inflamed. It's just not that inflamed.
No, my arm looks a lot better, but my hand.
You got a fat hand. You got a Chef Boyardee hand.
Yeah, it's wild.
Or the
I'm a nice
hamburger helper. My big fat ass hand.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I'm like got like it was a lot worse before. I legit looked like Popeye, but like my hand is insane right now. It looks like the hand of someone who's at least 100 pounds heavier than me.
Yeah, you're. Yes,
I got some nice meaty mitts.
You're
right
obese
now.
left hand.
But yeah, so like in my match was doing an escape that I've done hundreds of times. The guy's grip was just I basically pulled my arm out and my muscles stayed, I guess, and it sounded like a rolling pin over bubble wrap, and it kind of felt like that too.
Nice.
So yeah, that's my combat confession. I ripped my own arm.
You did.
And now have
he helped?
Puffy hands.
Yeah.
So you know, I would have done another one, but we went a little longer on this one. So I don't want to stretch you guys too long. We know how long you listen to the show.
You're gonna listen to every second of this, because it kind of crescendos, but
it does. It is.
What?
Hopefully, you guys listen to.
What do you want to do with the confession, real quick, before we let you go?
Yeah, I mean,
Get any tips for the listeners?
My tip is don't do things you don't normally do. That was the reason I had to do this escape I do a lot was because I tried to get my arms out in a way I normally wouldn't get my arms out. And so
okay.
Stick to your game plan, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Stick to don't try new shit.
Don't try new shit. Yeah.
Well, I guess to add the actual funny part of the combat confession
Tell me, what's the funniest part?
Well, so get injured. The ref asked me, he was obviously going to, he asked me if I needed a medic. I say no. I look over towards you and Jason, and I'm like, we need to go to the med table.
Yeah, you look at us, big eyes.
We're sitting at the med table. The dude's like wrapping me up, and I look at Jason and I go, so open class. Hey, the medic said he would take me up. He said I could do it. So, you know,
yeah, he was having fun.
He was like, you can do it.
Dude had a good sense of humor.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope so. I don't think you could.
Yeah, true.
I don't think you could deal with all the knuckleheads that come and visit him at those things. I go back to get my. I had to get it cut off because like the stretch wrap like rolled up and I couldn't unwind it. I go back and there's a dude like getting put on crutches and like. I was
you weren't that bad.
One of the better for wear dudes.
Yeah. For sure.
And I guess to add on to this, the day before I did open class, I thought I finally got lucky and didn't get the biggest dude in the division. I got a super heavy instead of an ultra heavy. And I was like, sweet. because it was like 7 p.m. If I got the ultra heavy, I was probably going to go home. I was like, I'm not doing this again.
Nah, brother.
I did this last year. I don't want to get laid on by a 300-pound man again.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, well, super heavy. It's a little bit lighter. It's like 222. That's not that bad. It's not as bad as unlimited.
Yeah.
Fighting for the opportunity to go against the ultra heavy. This dude was definitely he was jacked as shit. he was a big boy. And so I get out there, I'm like, I guess we're doing this again. However, I mean, it wasn't that bad. It really wasn't that bad. He just was on top of me the whole time, but I almost reversed him a few times.
All right.
The seam workouts are working, the bridges are working, but he did rough up my face a little bit. I got some nice little gi burn on my face.
Yeah, but that's nothing. That's nothing compared to gi burn. No big deal.
Not a big deal.
No one ever prescribed you 6 to 8 weeks for a gi burn.
No one prescribed me 6 to 8 weeks for my arm.
Even better.
I still think the bro science says 2 weeks. You know what? When this, a week after this episode drops, you're gonna see me training again.
Oh, I don't like that.
So yeah,
we got shit to do, man. We can't spend any time being injured.
I've got pans.
You got pans. To go
I already signed up. I have to go.
Pans.
Especially if it's a 4-man bracket and I'm still injured, I'll go.
Yeah.
I'll go tap out the first. I've already paid the money.
It's true.
They, by the way, IBJJF, unless you have an ink signature on your doctor's note, it has to be an ink signature. It can't be a scan. They won't refund you.
Damn, bro. Yeah, maybe. Okay.
It's good to know, right?
Yeah, they don't like refunds.
They'll
do vouchers. They'll do vouchers for other events. I've noticed
I just know that they did not refund Big John when he literally sliced his face up, which that could be a combat confession. John, I'm going to get your blessing before I do it, though.
Yeah.
But they did not give him, because he had the scanned doctor's note. They did
that's crazy.
They did not give him his refund. But yeah, that was our combat confession. This was Fires Drinking Coffee. Remember, check us out on fdcpodcast.com, www.fdcpodcast.com. You can listen to the show there. You can also leave reviews, comment, you can contact us, drop us a voicemail, and you can support the shows in other ways, such as signing up for our Patreon or clicking on the coffee cup and just dropping us some cash if that's what you want to do.
Yeah,
but
it's what you want to do.
We're happy with you guys. Just continue to listen to the show. Drop us some reviews, some likes. 5 stars. Like, subscribe. Love you. Bye.
Bye.